Welcome to Two Woke Bonnets, a podcast where we revisit the classic TV shows of our Gen X childhoods and see how well they hold up today. With your hosts, Carol and Joey.
Hello and welcome to Two Woke Bonnets, where we watch Little House on the Prairie and we talk about the episodes. My name's Carol.
My name's Joey.
And our episode for today is School Mom. This is season 1, episode 9 or 8?
9.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to keep everything together here with a very unruly cat. So if I wobble a little bit, I apologize. Yes, so episode 9, School Mom. This is a Ma Ingalls-centric episode. We don't get many of those. This one's kind of silly, but we start at school. School has let out, and Miss Beadle's getting on her carriage to go home, and one of them has found a snake and has decided he's going to chase everybody around with it,
especially the girls.
Suddenly,
these girls who go after crabs and all sorts of deal with raccoons later on, and you know,
it makes no sense that Laura would be this scared of a tiny little snake.
Yes.
But she's screaming. I think it's all show. It's just all like, But he spooks Miss Beadle's horse, and the horse bolts. And one of the townsmen tries to stop her horse, but before he can stop the carriage, she just jumps off the damn.
She's like, forget it.
He's like, I'm done with these kids.
No more lemon verbena. I'm out of here. And she rolls around on the ground and she starts to get up and then she flops down and then we cut away.
Yeah.
That's how much we care about Mrs. Beadle. You know, Miss Beadle.
She's hurt and the doc has put her to bed for 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So she can't.
Because he says it's broken, but she says it's sprained. So once again, calling into question, is Doc Baker really a good doctor?
Yeah. Did anyone see his doctor certificate before he showed up in Walnut Grove? But the town board, which consists of the Olesons, Hanson, and Doc Baker,
yes,
asked Carolyn to teach for those 2 to 3 weeks. And
at first she protests.
Yeah, she's like,
I haven't taught in several years.
I haven't taught in a while. But they're like, you're our only hope. You know, she's basically Obi-Wan Kenobi of Walnut Grove. And she's got to come teach the kids. Or they're going to, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks, they may forget everything. They may forget how to read.
Who knows? Who knows?
She decides to do it. And she gets to school and Nellie has told everybody, well, she don't know what she's doing, which again, how does this help Nellie in any way, shape, or form?
Well, because Nellie is the informant. That's the only thing she has.
That's the only reason. I mean, it's not like they're going to get off school for 2 weeks.
No.
They've already, what did they...
Nellie, like Nyx, is a pain in the ass. And just causes trouble.
Yes.
So Nellie turns all of the school kids against them. And so, of course, the only way to fix that is for Ma to go to the very kid who was the troublemaker and say, well, how would you be good at something?
What are you good at?
Yeah.
Like, I'm real good at hitting a ball.
Yeah.
And so they all truck outside and he hits a ball. And then for some reason it's a baseball off and Ma Ingalls has to hit a baseball, which she does. She hits her home run.
Yeah.
She hits a park, so
evidently there's home runs in 3 at cats, because remember, baseball is actually not created yet.
Not yet, but
don't tell your father. Again, why? Why can't you tell your father?
I mean, I think she'd go home and be proud of the fact it's like, hey, I went there and I out-hit some stupid little kid.
Yeah.
To show them that I'm worthy
of teaching, because I can do violent things. So I'm a good teacher. So then she goes back inside and suddenly everybody's willing to let her teach.
Yeah.
And she goes around and she calls on people. And Nellie reads and makes sure to tell everybody that she's the best reader in all the land. And she reads the word perseverance, which is a long word, right? Which comes up later. I'm just pointing this out because it's going to come up later. So she goes through and she calls on everybody, and then she calls on Abel McKay.
Who's
Abel
like 30
McKay,
years old.
Yeah, he's obviously like almost in his 20s. Like if you thought Johnny was old, or Johnny Johnston, or
Johnny
whatever.
Johnson, yeah. At least this guy doesn't begin with a J.
Yeah,
it's Abel.
But now it's Abel McKay. So Abel is sitting there, and she calls on Abel, and all the kids start laughing, and she calls on him again, and all the kids are laughing again. And then Laura tries to talk, and her mom just says, "Laura, don't talk in class." And then Abel runs out.
Yeah. And we find out he can't read.
He can't read.
Yeah.
And they call him Dumb Abel.
Yeah, and both Ma and Pa, when she's talking to Pa about it, call him backwards, which really.
But then they say, but then Mrs. Beadle says he's not backwards, right?
Right. She goes to talk to Miss Beadle, and Miss Beadle's like, no, he's a very bright student. He just doesn't know how to read.
This is his second or third time to be at school ever.
Yeah. So he doesn't want to come back. So Ma goes to his house or his farm to talk to his dad. And his dad apparently is like a potter, because he does
bricks. He
does mud bricks. He's like mining clay. I don't know if mining is the correct term, but he's collecting clay.
Right.
So he's
he's putting them into clay forms. Yes.
And he's not like violently against his kid going to school like so many people in Walnut Grove would be. He's just like, well, didn't help me none.
Yeah. But also single parent again. Like, where's Mrs. McKay? We don't know. We don't know.
That's okay. We won't see the McKays ever again. Abel should go on the disappeared list.
That's incorrect. Abel goes on the disappeared list. McKay is in 3 more episodes.
Oh, so we actually see McKay, but not Abel. Okay.
Yeah, so Abel we never see again.
Who knows? Maybe some bricks fell on him or something.
He gets married to Olga, and they ride off into the sunset with their wooden legs. He now makes her shoes out of clay. So
But she talks to Abel, and Abel's like really good with manipulating clay. He's carving figurines, and she tells him
he's making a voodoo doll. He's making a voodoo doll.
As you do.
Because when he sees clay, he suddenly sees bones and everything.
Which isn't troubling in the slightest.
No. So he sits there and makes it. But he does make a beautiful bird out of clay.
Yeah.
Very, very much the Amish Norwegian style of folk work, like the little bluebirds and stuff like that. And it is. He's very smart to figure out. But really, if his dad is making bricks, he's not that smart. His dad probably showed him,
how to.
You have to bake it or dry it, in order to make this. But anyway.
Not like he's a prodigy or something.
So
she convinces him to come back to school.
Yes. So she convinces him to come back. So first day goes okay, but then she scares off Abel. Second day goes well. She comes home. She divines this way for the kids to help. Somehow she convinces him to come at noon because they have clocks and everything, and she does well. And they do the alphabet, and they go back to fundamentals, and he's starting to get it. And so they do spelling the first day, and she goes home that night. Somehow the Nelsons, who we don't know, are watching Carrie during the day, but she suddenly appears. We don't meet them. They're not any of the names that we know, but they're taking care of the children, but we don't know who they are. And Pa does the cooking. Pa does the cooking, which was awesome. Yeah. I think it was amazing because she's like, well, I'm going to go put the the kettle on. He's like, I've already made dinner. I was like, is it rattlesnake stew? But no, that's a
no.
Mr. Edwards original.
He's not
no.
Mr. Edwards.
We don't find out whether Pa is a good cook or not, but he does the cooking. So that was good.
To house. But
then
she goes back and they're doing the fundamentals again.
Okay, but wait. She goes to the Olson's mercantile to bring the eggs. Yes. And suddenly, evidently 4 cents is the magic amount. Because when she was having a fight with Mrs. Olson before, she wanted to pay 4 cents less for the brown eggs. Now, because she's a teacher, she's going to pay her 4 cents more for the brown eggs. Or just for eggs in general, in order to make her kids the monitors, until Mrs. Olson explains that monitors are the dumb kids. Then she's fine with her kids not being made the monitors.
Harriet in this episode is
she's committing a few crimes. First of all,
she's beyond the pale.
She's upping and downing the prices. So if you want to put a crime down for her, she's doing price gouging, depending on the situation.
Price gouges all the time. And then she barges into the school.
As Abel is starting to read whole words.
Yeah. And then really just insults the hell out of the kid.
While standing right behind him.
Yeah, I can't believe you're making these children go so remedial for this backwards boy. And this teacher's pet. And I'm like, good Lord, woman.
And this is on day 3.5, right? Yeah. Because remember, he came in a half day, right?
Yeah.
So 3.5, this kid has gone through 3 half days of school. And then Ma's like, I quit. She takes a page from Pa and says, that's it, I quit.
Yeah. And I have to say, both and Harriet are acting very childish this episode.
Yeah. I do want to point out, because of the bingo card, when Ma first gathers the children up and tells them this is not a picnic, for some reason she has to take them outside to explain that they're going to do a special way to help Abel, because somehow you have to do that outside.
I'm not sure
But
why.
when she's outside, Frankie asks to use the outhouse and she lets him. So if you've got the outhouse on your bingo card, you can mark that for this one.
Yeah, and there's also popcorn in bed.
Popcorn in bed, and Pa does the cooking. So we've got some 1970s wokeness in there. So I want to point that out as well. Okay.
Yeah.
And Harriet commits a crime. So we've got multiple bingo card options here. But anyway.
Yeah. So
now the guy runs off again.
Yeah. Abel runs off, Ma quits, and they're not having because who's teaching?
Yeah.
No one's teaching.
So they come to talk to her again. And for once, Harriet Oleson hasn't told Nels what happened. Like, they have to find it out from Ma. Because she's like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
What did I do?
How is she still on the board after this?
Yeah. And then Hans recommends violence. Please take your wife by the scruff of the neck. And over there.
Okay, come on, Larson. Come on.
Well, he stops himself, but he's like, could you take your wife by the could you take her over to the Surrey, please? Please take her away. She's like, I don't understand what the big deal is. It's crazy.
That whole conversation was kind of cringy. Was very cringy.
Yeah.
Actually.
Well, it's like, how would you feel if somebody threw rocks into your grindstone while you're trying to do your job?
Yeah. Which is true. What she should have done is just told Harriet that we're in the middle of a school day. You need to leave. You can speak to me after school if it concerns your children.
Yes.
But both women acted very kind of childish in this episode.
Well, and Ma admits that whenever the whole reason why she agreed to teach was because Harriet tried to say, well, if you're not qualified.
Yeah.
And so she's made her mad. So she says right at the beginning, I don't know why this woman's just brings out the temper in me while they're having popcorn in bed.
Well, I mean, Harriet brings out the temper in everybody. Except Nels, for the most part.
He just pushes her over. He's like, okay, you've done enough damage. So I actually have to admit, I wanted to see Mrs. Oleson teach. I
You get
wanted to
that
see,
later on.
I know, but I
Much later.
wanted to see her teach just for a minute. But of course, when she says that she'll teach instead, nobody shows up.
Yeah.
Except for the 2 kids.
Yeah.
So there's no school.
So there's no school um until Miss Beadle comes, or well, no, Ma comes back.
Ma comes back because as she's walking back, because she goes to the mercantile to sell the eggs, because she knows Mrs. Oleson is going to be teaching.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have
So
Laura
get
and Mary go with her.
them.
So she's just trying to be a fly on the wall. And then when she's walking back from the mercantile, who should she run into but Abel McKay, who said he was waiting for her. Now, if this was a 2024 thing, this is where the dark music would start playing, that, you know, he's gotten a crush on her. But fortunately, this is 1974. And I actually like the actor who plays Abel McKay, so I'm very glad that they didn't do that to him. But he sits down and he shows how he's taken bones and clay and started to make this letter set. And says we will actually make the whole set. And then she says, well, now you're in trouble because obviously if you know well enough to do the letters and the numbers, they're in your head. And once they're in your head, they'll never come out.
Never come out.
You'll have to be making words and figures for the rest of your life. You're doomed to intelligence.
You're doomed, Abel. You're gonna read books now.
Yeah. But it's awesome. And so he does come back to school. She continues teaching. Mrs. Oleson stays out of the way. And then here's where it gets weird again. It's supposedly her last day to teach. And she comes to her last day to teach. And there's a banner saying, welcome back, Mrs. Beadle. And Mrs. Beadle has started without them.
Yeah. And Miss Beadle's like, well, screw that. I'm going back to work.
So she takes her last day away from her, but everybody stands up and cheers and claps
and does the whole, you know,
and the whole thing. And there is Abel sitting there amongst them, ready to learn. So,
and then he never shows up.
Never see him again. Like I said. So let's talk a little bit about our special guests this time.
We need to put a box on the bingo card. Very special guest. Because we have a couple of those. Yeah.
So this is, so Abel McKay is played by Dirk Blocker. So Dirk Blocker, this is his second appearance. If you go on IMDb, it's his first appearance, but if you read a Wikipedia or other things, he did a very small part on Marcus Welby, MD, the same year. So he recorded that first, then he was on there. So the thing with Dirk Blocker is he is the son of Dan Blocker, who played Haas on Bonanza with Michael Landon.
Yeah.
The key to know is that, unfortunately, Dan Blocker had died 2 years before this. So it wasn't like his dad got him the job. Michael Landon was close to the family. But this was really the first year of his acting. And he's one of 4 kids. They all kind of went on into different parts of the movie and film industry. But Dirk Blocker actually did a very important, so he doesn't have any prior Gunsmoke or Bonanza experience like I usually look for. But in 1993, they did kind of a special look back at Bonanza, and they did a Bonanza movie that Michael Landon Jr. appeared in, Dirk Blocker appeared in. All of the children of the original 4 in Bonanza were able to come back and play parts.
Yeah.
So he did do that. And he's one of the few actors that actually got active credits today. He was in the whole series of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the Adam Sandberg Saturday Night Live thing. He was a series regular. So he actually was not one of these onesie twosies, was in all the cowboy shows or anything. He actually went on to have a very successful acting career and still has credits.
Yeah.
Kelly Thornton played Baker McKay. We never hear his first name in this episode, but in future episodes we will. And he actually ends up being in 3 more episodes after this. He actually did 6 episodes of Bonanza and 4 episodes of Gunsmoke. So likely was a known character actor.
Yeah.
So when they needed that special person, they brought him forward. But he appears 3 or 4 more times.
I do appreciate the fact that his father wasn't like dead set against him learning anything. Because normally on this show, it's like the Olga situation where her father is violently against her walking normally.
He's just not going to force him to do it.
Yeah.
And he is an older kid.
Yeah.
He's not
He's
a 10-year-old.
bigger.
And he's
I'm
bigger.
also very grateful that they didn't make him a bully. They do that later on in the episode, that he's not like there to bully Ma Ingalls or any of the other kids, even though he is significantly larger than they are.
Yeah. He doesn't bully. He doesn't protect. He's just a kid at school.
Yeah. My biggest problem with this episode is that it makes Miss Beadle out to be kind of a bad teacher, because she didn't think to bring him back to remedials, or I don't understand why she wasn't giving Abel special attention.
The only defense that I would say would be that he ran off the first time for her, just like he did for Ma, and he hadn't been a bunch of times. So if he'd only been 3 or 4 times,
then she might have, but
she might have been trying to figure it out and hadn't gotten there yet.
Yeah, this is the show has a tendency to have the Ingalls be the only people who can figure things out, and this is Ma's chance to figure out how to teach Abel how to read. So, but this is a pretty standard episode. We don't get
that was a lot of paper they used. They used at least 26 pieces of paper, and then they wrote words on paper. Where did Ma get the money for that? Thank goodness for that extra 4 cents on the eggs, because she wouldn't have been able to afford it otherwise. But overall, it was a fun episode. It was a good episode. I enjoyed it. Carrie only said a couple words again.
She's not very prominent in this. Well, she's not very prominent. I
feel like Carrie gets 1 word per episode, maybe a couple more, but most of the time she gets 1 or 2 words, and that's it. So and that's School Mom.
And that was School Mom. The girls actually don't figure a whole lot into this, other than, being at school.
Correct. So, yeah, this is a very mom-centric, focused piece. Mom.
Even I'm always happy when Karen Grassley gets to shine a little bit, because she doesn't get a whole lot of opportunity in the show.
Yeah.
Later on.
Yeah.
But this is a nice episode. Except Harriet being so overly Harriet that you're like, what did Nels put in your tea? Good Lord.
So do we get any Charles this time?
No, we did not get any Charles. No Charles. Pa doesn't cry, and he keeps his shirt on this episode.
That is about to be over.
Yep.
Make sure you come back for episode 10, because that is about to change, my friend. All of that is about to change.
And what episode is next? The raccoon.
The raccoon. Dun, dun, dun. Yes. So, we'll talk about that a little bit more next time. I have thoughts, but I'm not going to give them away yet.
So I have more thoughts on the raccoon than I had on School Mom. This one was a pretty standard episode. So
yeah. Except for I really noticed them ringing the bell and having the bell on the fence, which plays into episode 11. Which plays into it was noticeable. So I wondered if they added that part in, because. And then I love that Mrs. Oleson was like ringing the bell, like suddenly it was going to make the children abracadabra appear, which did not happen. So
I don't know how she is still on the board if she was this hateful, but she's.
Oh, one thing that they talk about that later. Never mind.
Okay.
I watched multiple episodes. All right. See you next time. Make sure that you watch it. Feel free to download your bingo card. Remember, if you have other things you would like us to track besides the stuff we list on the bingo card, send us an email to wokebonnets@gmail.com.
We're probably going to add a list of the disappeared to the website somewhere.
Yes.
Just so we're keeping track of everybody who disappears from Walnut Grove without a trace.
Yes.
So yes, and if you have any suggestions or comments, please email us at twokebonnets@gmail.com. And that's TWO, not the number 2.
Correct, because we write things out around here.
That's right. Where's my slate pencil? Oh, I was short a penny. Never mind.
I'll share my half penny with you, and together we can get a slate pencil for next time. All right.
Until next time. We'll see you.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Two Woke Bonnets. To find out more and to download your bingo card, visit twowokebonnets.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe wherever fine video and audio podcasts are played.